All right, so lesson 22, Jesus casts out a devil. Okay. We'll read here from Luke chapter 4, starting at verse 31. But speaking of the casting out of the devils, that's not something that we necessarily see at this time in our lives. We see people who have mental illnesses, okay, and maybe do odd, weird things or do things that are very destructive, but not in the sense that we see here in the Bible. During the time of Christ, we see that there were quite a few people who had devils in them, and obviously the purpose there is so that Jesus could cast them out. So a little bit different there. We'll talk about some of that devil possession, okay, and we'll begin reading here, though, from Luke chapter 4. So at verse 31, I'll read the first little section here about the casting out of the devil. And came down to Capernaum, a city of Galilee, and taught them on the Sabbath days. And they were astonished at his doctrine, for his word was with power. I'm going to stop there and show you how they thought that his word was with power. If we go to Mark chapter 1, where it's also speaking at the exact same time, verse 27, and this is what it says about the people there. And they were all amazed, insomuch that they questioned among themselves, saying, What thing is this? What new doctrine is this? For with authority commandeth he even the unclean spirits, and they do obey him. So we're seeing that there, what we just read. They were astonished. Anyways, where does he go? Well, Christ goes to the synagogue, verse 33. And in the synagogue there was a man which had a spirit of an unclean devil, and cried out with a loud voice, saying, Let us alone. What have we to do with thee? Thou Jesus of Nazareth, art thou come to destroy us? I know thee who thou art, the Holy One of God. And Jesus rebuked him, saying, Hold thy peace, and come out of him. And when the devil had thrown him in the midst, he came out of him and hurt him not. And they were all amazed, and spake among themselves, saying, What a word is this? For with authority and power he commandeth the unclean spirits, and they come out. And the fame of him went out into every place of the country round about. We'll stop there. We'll keep going. Don't lose your place. But let's talk about those things. First, he comes into the synagogue, and he preaches and teaches there on the Sabbath day, and he teaches with authority. Okay? It's not as though he's going in there hoping people will listen to him or hoping people believe him. But Jesus comes in teaching and preaching with authority. He is the Son of God, so he has that authority to teach them. Okay? But his listeners, as we referenced there, also knew that this was a new teaching. What was Jesus teaching? And I asked that question, what was new about his teaching? I put that on your sheet. Some of you were getting there. Some of you had great answers. Some of you are still trying to figure it out. So let's make sure we're all clear on that. What is the new teaching that Christ is bringing? What is he bringing? As compared to the old. What was the old teaching that the people had been hearing in the synagogue? What have they been hearing from those wicked Pharisees? Garrett?
Your works don't save you, only your faith does.
Are you referencing the new teaching or the old teaching there in that statement? All right. Garrett's correct. The new teaching is you are saved by faith and not by works. Okay? You don't need to follow all those rules of the Pharisees in the Old Testament laws. So that's why the people remark and say, well, what this man is teaching is a new teaching. It's a new thing. We haven't heard this. The leaders here, the Levites and the Jews, they've been telling us we need to go this many steps on the Sabbath day, or we need to do these sacrifices to be saved, or we need to follow these rules. So it's a new teaching for them. Okay? And while Jesus is in there teaching, you can imagine sitting in church, right? You're listening intently to Reverend Geikelar. Okay? And all of a sudden, out of the blue, somebody stands up in the church service and points at Reverend Geikelar and says, Let us alone! And you would, well, what's going to happen next? Is this person going to get in trouble? Maybe it's somebody you know. Family member even. They stand up in the middle of the worship service and they yell out to him, "Let us alone." Well, that's what this man did. In the middle of Jesus preaching and teaching, this man stands up in the middle and says, "Let us alone." Who's the us? Let us alone. Who wants to be left alone? Megan? Yes, the devils there want to be left alone. Okay? Now, again, in the Bible times, when these devils took over a man, okay, sometimes they would be in the man and sometimes out. Sometimes they would be totally controlling and not controlling. But the devil can control everything so that the man's speech is controlled. The man's actions are controlled. Even against his will, we could say. That's the spirit of the devil working in the man. Just like the Spirit of God worked in Balaam, so that Balaam went to try to curse Israel in the Old Testament, and all that came out of his mouth were beautiful words. So it is here. A man has no control over what he's saying or what he's doing. The devil totally controls him, and so he jumps up and he speaks out and says, "Let us alone." Okay? This devil controls the entire body, his mind, and what he says. Okay? So, this is probably a difficult thing for us to understand in the first place. How something or somebody else can control our bodies. But at the same time, maybe you know someone who's addicted to something. Okay? They've got to have a cigarette, right? They can't go even a few hours without it. They have to have it. Or someone who is addicted to drinking. Okay? I can't go a few hours or even a few days without having something to drink. I need to have a drink. I can't function without it. People are addicted to drugs. Okay? I can't do it. I can't go the day without it. We could be addicted to sports. We could be addicted to television. We could be addicted to food. Okay? I can't go a minute without my Diet Coke. It's impossible for me to. So that might be hard for us to understand. Hopefully we don't have addictions in our lives, things that we must have. That would maybe give us just a little bit of an understanding of what it must have been for this man. But anyways, the devil there, if we go back to the text, he says a few things. Okay, first he says, "Let us alone." What do we have to do with thee, Jesus of Nazareth? Art thou come to destroy us? I know thee who thou art, the Holy One of God. Even the devils have to confess who Jesus is. They know more than the people here surrounding him. The devils truly know who that is. That's the Son of God over there. That's one who can work miracles and wonders, but especially when they call him the Holy One of God, the Son of God. I know who thou art. And he asks, "Are you come to destroy us?" Because they know what will happen to them. They aren't fools. They know that Jesus has power over them. And so Jesus says here, "Hold thy peace and come out of him." Hold thy peace. Be quiet. No more. And then come out of him. Leave that man, leave that boy alone. Commands the devil to come physically, to come out of the boy, to leave him alone so that no longer is the devil controlling this man's mind, his speech, his body, or anything. And what last little thing does the devil do to this man before he leaves him? What's the one last little thing that he does there? What did he do, Emma? Threw him down. It's as though, sometimes you try that, right? We all sinfully do that. Mom and Dad say, "Don't do this." You do it. You ever have that at home, Logan? Got a little sister, Sally, right? Mom and Dad say, "Now, Sally, don't do that." And what does Sally, "Don't touch that." And what does Sally sometimes do? Looks at Mom and Dad and, yeah, they want to quick touch it one more time. See, I wonder if I'll get in trouble if I, oh, here comes Mom and Dad. And what does she do? Runs away, right? Okay? Just as a little child. Hey, that's as though this devil acts like, and we sinfully do that too, right? Mom and Dad say, "Don't do it." So you try to get one last little thing in. Can I get one last word? Can I get one last action? And can I play my game one last time even though they said to put it away? That's what the devil does here too. He throws him to the ground one last time. Ha! And then leaves him. But he must obey. Okay? In fact, if we go over back to Mark where we were reading, or where I read that one verse, the verse in there says, after the devil was cast, he tore him in verse 26, the spirit had torn him. After that, then he cried out with a loud voice and came out of him. So this devil was trying to get one last thing out of him. But yet the man was not hurt. Jesus more than likely healed the man's body. Hey, whatever things the devil had done to this young man, whatever things he had done to his body physically, Jesus was able to heal him. So only the beginning of Jesus casting out devils. Hey, we know that that's some pretty great miracles that Jesus can do there. So the devil is cast out. This young man can go on his way, and the fame of Jesus, we read there, spreads abroad into every place. But now let's continue on, and what does he do next? Okay, after he leaves the synagogue there. Verse 38. I'll pick it up there in Luke 4, verse 38. And he arose out of the synagogue and entered into Simon's house. And Simon's wife's mother, so what do we call that? What's the relation there? Simon's wife's mother, Emma? His mother-in-law, so the mother of his wife, was living with them, was taken with a great fever. You've all experienced a fever. And they besought him for her. So they asked Jesus, can you please come help? Can you heal her? And he stood over her. So Jesus, he stands over her. He rebuked the fever, and it left her. And immediately she rose and ministered unto them. Now, let's stop there. So Jesus here comes to Peter's mother-in-law. He stands over her. Okay? And he came and he healed her. Now, he's done that many of times that we've seen already, so that's not maybe so much that a surprise in our mind, but the Bible records how her recovery was. How did she recover after Jesus healed her? How long did it take for her to get better? Garrett?
She just got up immediately.
And what did she do even?
She administered unto them.
Yeah, she gave them dinner. Okay, she brought them food and something to drink. So that's miraculous too. All of you have had the flu, you've had a fever, right? Mom or Dad may talk about the fever finally breaking. You're not feeling well, things aren't going well, but you're starting to recover, and all of a sudden you begin to break out in a big hot sweat. You're sweating everywhere. Might have to go take a shower and change into some new clothes because of all the sweating. That means the fever has broken. You might say, well, that seems like a bad thing, but it's really a good thing. It means the fever is getting near its end. But it takes you a while to recover. Okay? That's why we say it's good to stay home another day. Get totally recovered. Okay? Make sure that you're totally healed after having the flu or the fever. First of all, so you don't spread it to others, but second of all, so that you're totally and completely healed. If you go and begin doing things right away, the fever may still be in you, and you may weaken your body's defense system by doing that. So rest, we say, rest is what you need. But that's not what Peter's mother needed here, or mother-in-law. She immediately began to work. She got up, she ministered to them, and a wonderful celebration was had there by all of those people. And again, the fame and the wonders of Jesus must have spread. All right, now let's pick it up at verse 40, and we see what happens here at the end of the day. Now when the sun was setting, all they that had any sick with diverse diseases brought them unto him. And he laid his hands on every one of them and healed them. And devils also came out of many, crying and saying, Thou art Christ, the Son of God. And he, rebuking them, suffered them not to speak, for they knew that he was the Christ. And when it was day, he departed and went into a desert place, and the people sought him and came unto him, and stayed him, that he should not depart from them. And he said unto them, I must preach the kingdom of God to other cities also, for therefore am I sent. And he preached in the synagogues of Galilee. Something interesting about this text that I find. What day was all of this happening? Did we read? On what day of the week did Jesus cast out this devil and heal Peter's mother, and now the people come to him? Faith. It's a Sabbath day. We know, or hopefully you know from past stories, what will the Pharisees bring against Jesus as a complaint when he does that? What's the complaint that the Pharisees are always bringing against Jesus when he heals on the Sabbath? What don't they like about that? Micah? All right, they say that's work. You can't heal on the Sabbath day. And Jesus says the work that he is doing obviously isn't just physical healing, but it's spiritual healing as well. And those are good things to be doing on the Sabbath day. But we don't read that here. The people don't. The Pharisees are so amazed at the devil being cast out and Peter's mother-in-law being healed, and now the throngs of people coming to Christ, that they haven't totally thought through this. They haven't been able to create that argument and bring it up with Jesus yet. So we don't read that here. But we do see how the people are a little bit afraid of following the rules, because when do they begin to come to him? The throngs of people, the masses of people begin to come to Jesus' faith at sunset. When the sun goes down, so the Sabbath day is ending, and then all of a sudden the multitudes, throngs of people flood out of their homes. They know who Jesus is. Word has spread what he can do. So anybody who has an affliction, someone who's blind, can't see, someone who's lame and can't walk, someone who's deaf and can't hear, someone who's dumb and can't speak, someone who has sickness, maybe a blood disease or leprosy or a disease of the skin, maybe boils, something, anything that affected the people. They knew that Jesus could heal. And so the multitudes of people begin to come. According to the Pharisees, of course, they couldn't heal on the Sabbath. But now that the sun has gone down, the Sabbath day is ending, they begin to flock to him. And all the city, it says here, came to them. Okay? Almost seems like, wow, there's more people that were sick back then than there are now. Well, good medicine can help take care of that, but it can also be that God wanted Jesus' power and his majesty and glory to shine forth, so that in the places that Jesus visited, God had prepared them by giving many sick and many lame and many blind and whatever other diseases were there. But think of that. What is blindness a picture of? Blindness. What can we say that's a picture of? Jesse? Yeah, we're blind to our sins. Many temptations come in front of us and we ignore, we resist the part of our brain that says don't do it, and we go ahead and blindly commit our sin. So Jesus heals the blind. He does that for us. What about those who are lame? What can't they do? If you're lame, you can't, Logan, walk. So a picture that might be is, what can't I do? If I can't walk, that might be a picture of, what am I failing to do in my spiritual life that I should be doing? What do you think, Jen? Yeah, I should walk in the ways of the Lord. So that's a picture too. Jesus is healing those who can't walk so that now they can begin to walk, okay, in the way of the Lord. And obviously those who are totally paralyzed, okay, they can't walk, they can't even use their arms, okay, they too are crippled with sin. And it's only through the redeeming power of Christ that we're able to do that. But anyways, I put down there, read Isaiah 53 verse 4. And how does Jesus show that he fulfills this verse in this lesson? What does he do there? How does he do that? What'd you put? Joe, what'd you think there? Last question I asked about looking up Isaiah 53. What does he do? Okay, God heals the stricken and afflicted. Anybody copy down that verse right there, write something almost word for word? It'll be a good text to add to our list of verses that we memorize, or maybe we already have. Okay. The verse says there, he hath borne our griefs and carried our sorrows. And that's what Jesus is doing here. He's doing that marvelous, wonderful work of taking up the griefs and sorrows, as Joe said there, and bearing them for us. Okay? So, Jesus isn't come here to build an earthly kingdom just to do these miracles and wonders so that people will follow him and his fame will be spread abroad. That's what earthly doctors might want to do now. Maybe there's some famous doctors who are very good and they like it that their fame is spread abroad. They become very rich and well known and they can get to meet important people and become a very important person, and they're on television all the time and everything else. That's not the goal of Jesus. Jesus is here not only to save, well, not only to heal the sick, but also to save his people. Okay? He's here to work in their hearts especially. Okay? Because of all of the healing that you can have, if you could choose, would you want to be healed of life-threatening cancer, or would you like to be healed of the sickness of sin? Hopefully we would choose sin, because although our physical bodies may die, our spiritual bodies then would go to heaven if we chose that properly. So, Jesus heals here, casts out a devil. He begins that work in his ministry. The fame will spread. We know it only angers the Pharisees and Sadducees more and more so that they begin to do more to plot against Jesus. So we'll have a test. We'll review tomorrow and have a test the following day. Okay? So it might be a good idea maybe to look over your notes, just to quick go over them, especially some of the questions that I may have asked, so that you have a little bit more detail there.